actually Dalla Fonte translates to from the source. And so this is truly coming from the source, it's coming from these small towns, it's coming from these small producers that really honor traditional preparations. And in so many cases, they're family recipes. It really is an experience. We want folks to sit down and really understand, why these foods are important in Italian culture.
This is Kathy McCabe. Welcome to the Dream of Italy podcast. You know me from the PBS travel series Dream of Italy and the award-winning website and publication. Join me as we explore the sights and sounds of Bella Italia. From the canals of Venice to the piazzas of Puglia, from the fashion houses of Milan to the vineyards of Tuscany. Hop on, it's gonna be a great ride. Andiamo. Okay, so today on the podcast, I'm thrilled to have Olivia Becker here. Olivia is the co-founder of Dalla Fonte, which basically lets you taste the best of Italy at home. Dalla Fonte is one of the sponsors of Dream of Italy, the season 3 of Dream of Italy. And we're very grateful for that. And Olivia has Italian-American background, which inspired her to found this company, which has such a wonderful mission and makes people very happy. So welcome, Olivia.
Hi, Kathy.
Tell me first, let's jump in. I like to get right to the point. What is Dalla Fonte? And then we'll back it in and see how you got there.
Yeah, sure. So thanks for having me. So excited to be a sponsor of this season. Dalla Fonte is a specialty Italian food and wine club membership, and then a gifting service online. And, what we really strive to do is deliver those pieces of Italy that bring us so much joy. We can't always be over there, but these are all those products and flavors and experiences that we have over there that we always found ourselves shoving in a suitcase to bring home to the US and share with family and friends. And Dalla Fonte is really that expression of doing just that, but sharing it with such a broader audience, all the things that make us happy and pay tribute, like you said, to our Italian-American heritage.
So tell me where your family is from. I know you have some Italian-American heritage. Yeah. You've lived in Italy, and what was that experience like?
Yeah. So I think I think we're the same, that our great-grandparents on our mother's side came over. My husband and I always joke we'd have a lot more street cred if we were going by our mother's maiden names. Which
sure. Well, mine's McCabe. I don't have any street. My father's name, of course. I have none.
See, yeah, exactly. My maiden name is Irish, and then my Becker, is of course German. But same thing. We have these mothers of full Italian descent, and all of my family came over in the early 1900s. And I had 4 great-grandparents. So one set, the Notamuzzis, came from Sulmona, which is in Abruzzo.
Oh, yes, I love Sulmona.
Oh no, it's such a beautiful region. We were able to go there for the first time in 2022, and really just so moving to be where my family came from. And then on the other side, the Shangalepores, which is quite a mouthful. It actually means like rabbit ripper, which is not a very romantic name, but they came from Bari and then Sicily, and so everybody kind of converged in New York City. They all came through Ellis Island, and just always felt so connected to that side of my family. Always appalled to their stories, their backgrounds, their tradition. Obviously, again, the food, like everything, with our Italian heritage comes down to those food experiences. And so we all, we were in New York, and then my family came to California, where I think for the first time they felt connected to Italy. They were able to grow their olive trees, their lemon trees, and now we're up in Seattle. So we've kind of hung by the coast, but always stayed connected and true to those roots.
And then you lived in Italy. What was your experience like? And where did you live? Because everyone loves to know, what's it
like. Going back to this fall to Italy, that's always been there. Both as a kid, when I started my professional career, I worked for a company that was headquartered in La Spezia, which is a port town, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I worked for a maritime software and consulting company. So I spent very long periods of time over there, built deep friendships, and it was such a treat. I mean, to be doing that in my early 20s, to be spending time there and working alongside Italians, and I think really learning about what it means to be Italian and live that Italian spirit, where so much is built on connection and relationship. And I think, what's wonderful about Italians is how intentional they are about that. Even in workday, it's like, no, we're leaving at 2 o'clock. We're going to go get a coffee. Like, we're
Yes.
having dinner. It's like everything stops. And I think sometimes they get a reputation for like not working hard, but it's like, no, this is what success looks like. You're connected, you're really partners, you're in relationship. So I mean, what a treat. I had so many friends that were like, what? Where are you going? This is work.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
I was gonna say sounds very familiar, very similar to your story where it's like, oh, what a dream,
Yeah.
and it was.
It is a dream. It really is. We're very blessed. So what, so your ethos or your purpose of your business, I know you can buy individual products, obviously food products, and each one has a story, but you have this membership and a subscription, and how I love subscriptions and memberships. How does that work?
Yeah. So, when we were first launching and trying to think about what that customer experience would be, we love subscriptions too. It's like when these things arrive on your porch, you're so excited, you don't know what's inside of that. So, what we landed on was a quarterly subscription service. So 4 times a year or once every season, you receive this curated box of specialty items that are all made in Italy. Actually, Dalla Fonte translates to from the source. And so this is truly coming from the source. It's coming from these small towns, it's coming from these small producers that really honor traditional preparations. And in so many cases, they're family recipes. And you know what it's like over there. It's like, it's not just olive oil. It's like, these are the olives that my great grandparents planted on the land that we've lived on since the 18th century. And this is our oil, so it's a collection of those types of foods and wine. And, we do it 4 times a year because it really is an experience. We want folks to sit down and really understand, why these foods are important in Italian culture. We always include, a brochure that educates folks as well, so they know what this means, to an Italian and really the people and the faces behind it.
I love it. I love it. It kind of helps to tell the story. And you also sell, I know, individual boxes, and we have a really special box for season 3 that we put together so people could watch the episodes and have the flavors and the tastes. And I know the first thing we centered it around, which is unfortunate, not every state can get it, is the wine. And my Kelly's wine. Not a lot of people, until they watch my show, know that Andrea's family, his brother and his nephew especially, make their own wine in Tuscany.
Yeah. I love when you said that, Kathy. I think the words that stick with me is like, what's that immersive experience? I mean, how many times have you seen something on TV and like, oh my gosh, I would kill for a sip, a bite, or just to be there? And I think that's what we've created. Yeah. So each box, if you can receive wine, has a bottle of the Bocelli family reserve. It's a Sangiovese blend.
I've tasted it at the source, but
yeah.
And there's a whole story to the logo. No one in the family except Alberto knows what the logo is. It's crazy. And he told me that if I come back in 10 years, he will tell me. And I ran into him at the concert. Andrea does Teatro del Silenzio in the summer. I literally ran into Alberto and I'm like, Indy Chani, I'll see you. Like this poor man's like, oh God, she's really coming back. But I'm coming back. So you get the wine, and then what's the next item that you have for us?
Yeah, well, and a quick note on the wine. So they have an exclusive distribution or distributor in the US who happens to be in Seattle. And I validated your story because I said to them, what is this label? Do you
I
guys know what
don't
it
tell a
is?
lie. They don't know, right?
They said top secret. They don't know. They've had a long relationship with the Bocellis. They said they have no idea it's a secret. So I'm hoping, Kathy, in 10 years that you are able
I
to
have
share.
to blow it wide open. And I mean, not even, I believe the son does not know. The wife, Alberta's wife, or no, he doesn't know. I don't think Andrea knows. It's
Oh,
quite a story. It's really, I love a good story. And I did not know, like, you do pre-interviews, or I had no idea. I literally was interviewing them and I'm like, well, what's this logo about? I don't know. My father didn't tell anybody. It's such a good story.
I love that. So I'm excited for the big reveal in 2034, I guess.
It's
But
2033.
Oh, 2033.
Oh, we have
Okay.
9 years. So it was 10 years ago I interviewed them. It was last year I interviewed them. So it's coming soon. I mean, it'll be
Okay.
before you know it. And then we have my other, we have such a star-studded show. We have Andrea Bocelli, but I bet you're going to show the balsamic from Massimo.
Yes, I mean, so I think anybody who's familiar with Italian food knows Massimo Bottura. His restaurant is, always quoted as one of the best in the world, and you're one of the fortunate people that have eaten there with
It
him.
is. It's like worth every penny. If you save your money to go, it's worth it.
Okay, see, this is still
So
on my
unique.
list.
It's so different. So
Oh
different.
my gosh, yeah. See, and so what is so cool is Becky also produced a line of balsamics. And so this is his Villa Venadori. This is what balsamic should taste like. We talk a lot about this at Dalla Fonte, where it's like, yeah, you can get some things at the grocery store, but to really pour something like this, which is like thick and rich and dense, is such a treat. So I'm so excited that we were able to source this.
And I saw it, I saw it in the barrels, and you see it in the show. So that's in the first episode, or the first of the 2 Modena episodes. So you'll see it. And Massimo says balsamic is love. He's very descriptive, very Italian.
Very Italian.
Yeah. So, and I was just talking to somebody, we were talking about Modena, and I was saying how I had walked around with a friend of mine on camera, and I had the balsamic on vanilla gelato.
Oh.
So something as simple as that, or on strawberries, it's not,
yes.
It'll last for a while, well, you can drink it a lot, but
well, you can, yes.
It lasts.
It's just a small drizzle, and the bottle is beautiful, and the packaging is beautiful, which is another thing that's very Italian. These products, they not only taste fantastic, but they really pay attention to packaging. So to have something like this,
packaging is essential.
Yes, they are wonderful. So yeah, something beautiful to have on the counter. And then I think, speaking of beautiful packaging, we also included a fig jam from Pure Stagioni, which is a very small producer in Tuscany that only uses the highest quality local fruits and vegetables to make their line of jams. It's funny with Italians because I'll ask, like, is it organic? And they'll laugh at me because they're like, oh, Olivia, organic is our starting point.
Right.
Organic for Americans is one thing, but in Italy, it's like, oh, this is just where we start. So I love that we included this. Do you want to talk about the episode that it?
Yeah, we did it. And that one, I went to visit Franco Pepe in Caserta in Campania, who is now considered the world's best pizza maker. It's, it's everyone has their opinion, but it's in a little town outside of Caserta. And we visited like a lot of the places where he sources his ingredients, but we made a pizza that one of the focal points was figs and cheese. And it's like heavenly. And he handed it. I was hand fed not only by Franco Pepe, but by Massimo Bottura. So when I'm, on my deathbed,
you like grapes in your mouth.
Now, I'll tell you the thing about Massimo, and even Franco, but Massimo would what just blew me away is he put exactly what he wanted of each amount of whatever on that fork. So I was getting it as he intended, like as the maestro intended. And I'm like, my God, I will never, even if I go back to eat there, he's probably not hand feeding me. But I love the pizza. Franco Pepe is amazing. A lot of people make a pilgrimage in Southern Italy. You should next time you go. It's the dough. It's the dough.
It's the dough. I mean, that's what my New York husband always says about, the bagels in New York. It's like, it's the dough, it's
And
the
the water,
water.
but the dough, the dough with the water. I'm like, I live in Colorado and I miss the big, but it's the water. And there is actually this total side story. There's a place in Denver called Rosenberg's, and they did the water. They like patented some way of creating like New York water. Kid you not. So
that's amazing.
It's very essential, but so it's the water and the flour and the way Franco makes it. And I was with a bunch of Italians when we were filming, and they love to talk about digestion. And so you don't get like bloated, like you eat this pizza and it does, you're not like bloated. It's like a very nice experience. And so we wanted to do something in honor of that specific pizza. So we have the figs.
Yeah. So good.
What else do we have? I'm remembering now. I'm like, oh man, I gotta have some of that figs later.
I know. And I think it's like it reminds me of my family too, because just like the fig trees, it's just such a part of the culture. So next we have the tortellini with Parmigiano Reggiano for Emilia Romagna. And this is from a producer that's actually in a small village called Caru, and Maurizio Alamondi, who produces this pasta. I was all inspired by his grandmother's recipe at his, they have this beautiful restaurant that's still in operation today in Caru. So this pasta represents those family recipes. And we just thought it would be like the perfect representation of the tortellini that are just everywhere in Emilia Romagna.
We made some in Modena, and so that was in honor of the tortellini that we made a tortellante with Massimo and Laura's son Charlie, and we ate it with a Parmigiano Reggiano sauce. So 3 years. Yeah, it was really good.
It was amazing.
Yes. And then I know we wanted to touch on Parmigiano Reggiano, which is in like two of the episodes. And instead of sending you the cheese, which you can get anywhere nowadays, I mean, it's imported, but it's amazing the reach in all the stores.
Yes.
With the proper tools.
Yes. So you're absolutely right. I think as long as you go to the grocery store and ask for Parmigiano Reggiano, not Parmesan.
Yes, not just Parmesan. Yes.
Just Parmesan. So
there's like a black logo with the gold, right?
Yes. Exactly. I know it's so important. So we included a cheese knife set. So these are all hand carved in Italy, perfect for your charcuterie board. So an ode to the Parmesan, and honestly if you get some fresh Parmigiano Reggiano and to drizzle Massimo's balsamic on top of that, I mean, that would be a very, wonderful,
really full flavor experience.
Just an experience.
The show, which I know you have, he said he points to his arm and he's like, this is the Parmesan and this is the balsamic running through it, and you'll never forget that when you watch that part of the show.
Yes, I mean, and that's the thing, like these ingredients, these foods are the lifeblood for Italians. Like he's not joking. I mean,
no, he believes that.
Yes, it's like in their soul, and it's fantastic. And that's that kind of love for food that I think shows like yours do such a great job of like really connecting people to what that means. It's not just about getting the Parmigiano Reggiano or trying the balsamic. It's like, oh my gosh, for these people, it's what keeps them going. So
yes,
I just love that.
And then what else do we have in there?
So then we have our tribute to your the episode on the American expats that have moved to Abruzzo.
Yes.
So we wanted to include something that just is synonymous with Abruzzo, which is confetti. So I think for a lot of Americans, we know them as Jordan almonds. I grew up, my grandparents always had them.
All the parties.
And so what we did was include, and they're not just handed out at weddings, but they come in the organza bags. So that's very important.
Oh, in the bags. Yes.
Yeah, in the bags. And so we included some of these confetti from the Pelino candy factory that's been operating in Sulmona since, I think the mid 1700s.
Yeah,
and so
we visited Pelino in last season 2. And they showed us all the colors and what they mean. And then, I love Abruzzo. We did this episode about people moving, and Sulmona is, where you said your family's from, is really spectacular. And so you have the little Jordan almonds, the confetti as sweet treat. So you can come to dreamofitaly.com/season3 or go to Dalla Fonte to order the box. It also has one of the book that I wrote about Travel, Transform, and Thrive, which has a lot about Italian food and life and moving to Italy. And so now, is there a code that people can use for it?
So all Dream of Italy members, listeners can use code Dream of Italy and you will have 20% off. So just for listening today.
And that's a great savings because you also can buy the individual products as well. Or if you taste something in a box, that's what I love about your business, you can reorder, right?
Yeah, it's been really fun to carry those products that people come back and say, oh my gosh, these breadsticks reminded me of the winery that I went to in Umbria in 2005. Your box brought me back.
Everything is tied to a memory. So tell me, I'm so curious, what has surprised you that like people love and reorder? Tell me stories of the best products.
Yeah, so I would say, even though this is kind of a boring answer, it's the pasta, because the most common thing I hear from our club members and customers is, oh my gosh, I didn't know pasta could have flavor. And, it's so funny because I think here we get used to kind of some bland things that are maybe mass produced, but to say, oh my gosh, here's an egg pasta with the eggs from the free range chickens, the wheat from their fields, there's a touch of nutmeg in it. It's like, oh, I can taste that. Like, I know this is different from the roasted wheat or a chianti. So it's the pastas, the variety of pastas. And then what's really been fun is introducing people to pistachio cream. So
I think not only you said me that, but then, and I'm sorry, I'm going off story. I went to Malta like 3 weeks ago and bought pistachio cream. I mean, pistachio like closer to God. Yes.
No, that's the thing. So it's these flavors
all
that
maybe pistachio products are amazing.
Oh, they are just to die for. And so
I think I'm gonna get off of this podcast and like go I'm not even putting it on anything. I'm just exactly. Remembered I bought some more.
Yeah, people are like, how should I enjoy this? I'm like, well, first try it with a spoon and then decide, like, do you even waste a piece of toast or just keep eating it with a spoon?
You just eat it with a spoon.
Just eat it with a spoon. So those things. And then another favorite product that was fun to introduce people to was Lambrusco, which
that's very popular in Modena, the 2 episodes.
Break down all the meat and cheese. It's a sparkling red.
Strong, earthy wine.
Oh, and it's so good. And I think, I don't know about you, but like growing up, we had it on the table, but it was like cheap and too sweet. And you could add like 7-Up to it and feel cool. But now it's like there are all these beautiful dry Lambrusco. So a lot of folks haven't had a sparkling red. So it's those kind of things that I just get such a kick out of, like sharing this with folks for the first time. Pistachio cream, Lambrusco, and a variety of pastas.
Together. And then I love to talk to women who started businesses, who've kind of created their like own dream job. So tell me about your experience and what I always love to know, what has surprised people or what they've learned about themselves, or like often we learned, wow, it's really hard. Not in a bad way, but
it's such a good question and something that we've talked about and connected on before. You gain so much in starting your own business, but it is hard and you're constantly learning. I think for me, especially as a female and a mother of daughters, I came from corporate America as a management consultant where, I sat at a lot of tables where I was the only woman, or maybe I was working with a team of leaders and it was all male. And you start to realize, gosh, there's not as much representation here. And how can I kind of create a world that I want my daughters to grow up in and succeed in? And so one of the things that I don't even know if it's intentional or not, but as I started Dalla Fonte, I found myself really connecting with female IT entrepreneurs, female-led marketing companies, female winemakers, female producers, you as a female executive producer, television host. And so I have been able to have that agency around who I elevate and connect with. And I think that's what's been really special for me, to create a community of female entrepreneurs and business owners and just hard workers. And yeah, it's just been a different sense of support and community. Success looks different when you're working with a group of women, and it's felt very collaborative and just more fulfilling, I think, for me personally, to head down this path. So even when it's hard, I appreciate the circle I have.
That's very, very good. So what is coming up for Dalla Fonte? I know you're always thinking of new ideas.
Yeah.
I know a few of them, but if you can share with us, like where, because it's always like one idea leads to another, one product leads to another.
Yes, I know. And I don't know about you, but it's like your mind is always churning. You wake up like, this would be a great idea. And how can I make that happen? So we love connecting with our members. And one of the trends that we've heard a lot about is non-alcoholic wines. And one of our missions at Dalla Fonte is provide things that are only made in Italy. And so we're meeting with a winemaker next month when we're there for the food show. So we're going to be trying his whole line of non-alcoholic wines, reds, whites, proseccos, and helping.
That's really interesting. Yeah, no, people,
Yeah.
it's a very niche.
Yeah, it's a niche, and folks have been asking for it, and things like gluten-free, which you hear about a lot. And in Italy, that's easy to find because
there's a lot of celiacs in Italy.
So much. Yeah, and they use so many different regional products. In our box this quarter, we have a farro cookie. So yes, it's gluten-free, but it's just because they're using this.
Yeah, they're using
grain.
other items. No, but people think you can't enjoy Italy if you can't eat gluten, but there's so many risotto, and there's all
my gosh,
other options. There's a lot of gluten-free products and pastas, and yeah,
they are wonderful. So exploring products like that that we can help folks that are maybe trying to eliminate something or explore something different. So I'm excited about that. And then for the first time this year, we're doing our Meet the Maker tour. So we're actually
that's always exciting. Where are you going?
So we're going to start in Bologna and then do the wine country of Piedmont.
Oh God!
So it's just
those are sort of two of the best. Emilia-Romagna and Piedmont are pretty spectacular for food and wine.
Yes, yeah, and I think what for Americans in general, I think when they go to Italy, it's like Rome, Florence, Venice, some of those places that pop to the top. But this is such a gorgeous part of the country, and yeah, the food and wine culture is to die for. So we'll be going to the Lambrusco winery. We'll be going to an acciaieria that produces the balsamics and doing barrel tastings of balsamic vinegar, which, like you said, you've done it, but if you haven't done it, it is like, it's mind blowing to really try it and meet these folks. So I'm excited to, again, kind of create those connections with folks so they can see, gosh, this is why Parmigiano Reggiano tastes the way it does. This is why SAN tastes this way. But this is the care and the love and the years that go into each bite of Parmigiano Reggiano. So to take folks on those factory tours and the wine tastings, I am really excited about that. That was always part of my initial vision of Dalla Fonte. How can I bring a group of folks to have some of the experiences that I've had over there that really helped propel this, and where I feel so connected to my family and my
ancestors. Food really tells the story of Italy and the history, and the story of the land, and how food is different a few miles or kilometers away.
So different.
Yeah. You never have run out of options, and food is, this from living there, the only thing that Italians talk about all day. Like, it's the next meal. I know this from filming, like with these Italians, they're like my brothers at this point. And it's like, where are we going for lunch? I tried to break them.
While you're eating breakfast.
I tried to make them American, and we were going to have like one course at lunch, and this is not acceptable. So it's like, where are we going for lunch? How was that ragu? Maybe in the cooking lesson, oh, really wasn't that good, or it was, it's usually good. But, the next meal and the ingredients and the memories and
Yes.
a complete dialogue, full day. It amazes me every
Yeah.
time. I mean, I've been there so many times, but just how the conversation
It's
revolves.
all around food. And for Italians, as much as they like live in the moment and they're not exactly rule followers, they have rules for this food
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah, the cheese
heaven
and the
forbid,
fish and
cheese on a seafood pasta. We almost got like kicked out of a meal one day because we were out to dinner with our Italian friends, and our daughters ordered cappuccinos with dinner, which is already a cardinal sin.
or I think they've started to accept that though of Americans. I think it's just they've given up on that one battle.
They've let it go. But then they wanted Parmigiano grated on top of their
That's a
seafood
tough
pasta.
one. That's a tough one. That's right.
This was bad. This was really bad. And we heard about it and we still hear about it. So yeah.
What are some of the things I know? Do you still do? I'm actually using your idea, and I'll send you the link because we can send it out with the boxes. I created like a Spotify playlist for the season. All these things I'm like catching up on, but I know you do that with some of your boxes. What are some of the extra things you do with the, to create this experience for the members?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a good reminder. So, it's not just the food and the wine that come in the box, but yeah, like you said, my husband creates a Spotify playlist for every box. So sometimes it's songs that we've listened to over there, we've heard on the radio, and when you're there and that imprints on you, it's like, oh my gosh, every time you hear it, it just kind of brings joy to any experience. And we're a family that if we're cooking or we're eating, there's music on. So we created a playlist for each box has a themed playlist. And then another thing we've started that's been so much fun, and again, about community building, is including recipe cards. So, we have the brochure in each box that it talks about how to use these products and where they come from. But now we're partnering with Italian chefs to say, hey, what would you do with these items? What would you create? So recently we had Viola Buitoni put together 2 recipes, a guanciale tagliolini.
Oh, she has a nice cookbook that just came out.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, tell her I said hello. I've seen her cookbook. I don't know her, but
you should meet her. I don't know when this might happen, but she's fantastic. And
where does she live? In Italy or the US?
She's in San Francisco now.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So she spends a lot of time over there. She does her food tours and cooking tours, and Buitoni pasta.
Right.
She comes from a pasta dynasty. And so it's really cool that she's created her own thing. And so, she also created just a salad dressing from this acacia honey, which, by the way, the honey in the recent box, this nomadic beekeeper follows the hives through the national parks of Italy.
I had that box. You sent me the box, and I didn't, I was away, and I preserve it. I have to have an unveiling for myself. So it's sitting there, not opened yet. So,
Kathy, the honey, try it with a spoon.
It's like a Christmas present. When do you ever get multiple presents? Only your birthday or Christmas. So you open the box and it's you don't know all the stuffing stuff you use. You don't know is there something else in there? I'm it's really quite an experience to get a box.
Thank you.
No. It's a very,
that's what I'm hoping.
There's very few little joys in life, but that box is
oh my gosh,
it's a surprise. So that's really cool that you have these chefs then giving you ideas. You always need an idea. People want this for them.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not exactly, a meal kit that comes in, but it is something that you can put together. Usually there's something you can enjoy as sort of an aperitivo or a starter. There's always a pasta, some type of sauce, and of course sweets, because Well, we all love sweets,
sweet
but
tooth.
also.
So do Italians. I'm like wondering what's in the box that I can make for dinner, but I'm gonna surprise. Don't tell me. Going to
Okay,
surprise myself, and then
you have dinner in there, I
yeah, so I'm
promise.
sure there's something in there. So thank you so much. So now let's remind people. So if they mention Dream of Italy, they'll get 20% off.
Yes.
Using the code on the website. You can get the season 3 box, which I highly recommend, and I'm going to get you the Spotify playlist to go with it.
Yeah.
Because like listening to Andrea, you know.
Drinking his wine?
And then we have, Pavarotti is in Modena, and then in Abruzzo we have a Saltarello and orchestra, and I found all these songs, that go with it's again creating the full experience, which we're doing similar things, just different modus, I guess, or modes. But so people can use Dream of Italy. So give me your website, but we'll have it in the description also. So it's Dalla Fonte, right?
Yeah. Dallafonte.com, DALLAFONTE. And so on the website, you can find the Dream of Italy box. You can also learn more about our subscription club. And then we always have those individual items that our club members and customers rave about.
Pistachio cream. I'm sure you're going to sell out of it after the. I'm telling you, you have not lived. You haven't. And you know what I was thinking? I have these memories. My father would make pistachio pudding from a box in like the 70s. You know those pudding mixes?
Yeah.
I have this memory of him making, or my mother making pistachio pudding.
Yes.
Now, this pistachio cream is 5,000 times better than that pudding. But like we all have memories of flavors. And
yeah. And that's the thing. Like food, I was like, especially as an Italian American, like our core memories are built on these meals. And so, that's the idea. Our tagline is like, we can't always be in Italy. And, I wish I was always in Italy, but when I'm not, it's these little bites, it's these experiences and these meals and these songs, like you said, that really create that Italian experience for me,
it's an emotional experience. So people can come to dreamofitaly.com/podcast. We'll have show notes for today where we'll link all the products that we've talked about. We'll link to your trip and the code. And then if people want to learn more about the season, dreamofitaly.com/season3, and you can get the box there or watch some of the episodes and get inspired. And, people, I try to remind our our viewers, public television only exists because of people who support it, like your small company. And often it's the small companies that really step up with a mission to help put this content on air. And I know that it was a big thing for you and your company to support the season. So I wanted to thank you again for that. And I hope we can continue to work together to bring these flavors to people, because it's one thing to read, it's one thing to see, but you have to smell it, you have to taste it. Such a sensory experience. And and there's like nothing like going, I was just thinking, God, I'm going to be back in an Italian supermarket soon. It's a
supermarkets.
I know. Like, just that's all you don't need to take a tour. Just go to the supermarket.
Go to the supermarket and just fill your basket. We always say it's like supermarket sweep because we're like, oh, look at this.
We're like, they have this and then they have that. And it's hard because, there's we're so global now. It's like, you can get anything anywhere, which is not true. But there's still discoveries and there's still new products, and you're bringing a lot of those to us.
Well, thank you so much, Kathy, because a lot of this came to be during COVID, and I remember watching Dream of Italy reruns. That was a big part of it.
A lot of people, it was their COVID dream. It did like Amazon. It was the #1 American public television syndicated in COVID.
Well, that's amazing, because that was the time that we were marinating on these ideas and kept being drawn to Italy. And so this is my Dream of Italy. So you had
I know it is. And I really I hope the people that watch this, they may not start a company or a TV show, but that they would get inspired, like you found a way to live your dream, to incorporate your dream. And it may not be Italy even for people, or it might be some aspect, or it might be like, I want to go to Italy once a year. It doesn't have to be a full thing, but I think every time people hear stories like yours, they get inspired and think, well, I could do this too. And it doesn't have to be the same thing. It just has to have that nugget. And maybe when someone tries some of your products, they'll think, I'm going to go to culinary school, or I'm going to start, or I'm going to, it's
research my roots, even like, feel connected to your family. I had no idea that Jordan almonds, that confetti came from the small town that my family came from. And now that I know this, it means a lot. It's very simple, but it means a lot.
It does. And that's spectacular. That's a town I've even thought of living in. It's a beautiful place. Abruzzo is something. And I mean, I love it all.
Amazing.
Abruzzo is really amazing. Great food.
Oh, because you have like the coast and the mountains.
I know. And that's why we did this episode with people moving, because it's like, wow, you have to choose. And so thank you again for supporting that, for bringing that to people so that they can then live their dreams. And yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Kathy.